It's a time for package from China. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So this video we are going to take a close look at the XU4 from Odroid. Yeah, I already wanted to review this thing for a very long time and I finally purchased one. And the reason why, because I still want to check it out, is this thing worth picking up? Because the Odroid XU4 was back in the day quite expensive, but it has like some pros and cons to it that we're going to talk about. So including the package, what we're going to get is basically like everything that we're going to need, including some quick explanation that he printed out. Then we have like the power supply that is a 5 volt. It's a quite beefy one because this thing does need a very good power supply. The 2 controllers, and yeah, I don't get it. Like this seller gives us every single time the same kind of controllers. And I mean like this Super Famicom, I don't get it because you can play all kinds of things with an Odroid XU4 and we don't have the freaking buttons that we're going to need, for example, with N64. And then we have like the card reader, and I'm guessing we do get an SD card in this kit. Oh boy, it's just a typical USB 2.0 dongle, nothing really fancy. Alright, so let's open it up, and indeed here is the SD card. Let's take a close look what kind of version we're going to get. So they're giving us a 512 gigabyte. The only thing that is a little bit of a bummer, the question remains, is this an original SanDisk Ultra 512 gigabyte? There's only one thing we can do, is just plug it in and let's see if it even works. So I did ask the seller, like, where is my case? And that's kind of weird because what you're going to get on the inside is just your Ordroid, but you're just going to get yourself like no case or whatsoever. You're just going to get yourself the mainboard. He explained that it was very difficult to find like a stable supplier or something, he said. Don't know if it's true. I did find like these cases everywhere, but yeah, it's a little bit bummer. You're just going to get yourself the PCB itself. That's of course the most important thing. These things are not made in China, but made in Korea. But I already see it over here. So we don't need to do any teardowns whatsoever. So this is basically what we're going to get. And I'm going to see if I need to plug in the SD card in here or I'm just going to need to plug it through the USB. The downside to this thing is what I really don't like about it. We're only going to get 2 USB 3.0 ports, so a little bit of a bummer. So you need to use a hub if you want to have like multiple controllers. Let's say for N64, if it's going to be any good on this thing to be playing on it. Nevertheless, there is one positive thing. I did get myself a case. The case is nothing really fancy, it's just a translucent case, but it makes this so much better. Yeah, so I already noticed that this thing only has like 3 ports. I already mentioned like 2 of them over here, by the way. There is still one that you can use, for example, with the controller. But nevertheless, let's plug it in and let's see what can we play, because I'm curious about that. But let's get into the nerdy stuff, because I just want to take a close look at the specifications. So the processor is basically in Samsung. They have like basically a quad-core CPU inside that runs on 2 GHz. It's a quite interesting spec list for back in the day, because this thing is already a couple of years old, already mentioned in this video. Comes with 2 GB of RAM, do have like some storage capacity options. But let's get into the gameplay. But first, let's configure the controller. So the first thing that we need to do is basically plug in the controller and configure everything. Unfortunately, I did have like the weird issue that I don't have a full screen, so I need to figure out why this is, or maybe reboot it. Okay, whoa. Don't know what happened there, but I know exactly what I need to do, so that's not going to be a problem. Alright, let's go all the way back, because we did mess it up over here. And let's see, left trigger is already taken, it says over here. I'm messing it up here, man. I'm messing it up. Ah, there it is. Okay, everything has been set correctly. And then, okay, save. I know it's basically over there. So I know I'm pressing A. It will basically like everything has been set up. I don't know what's going on. Like the down part of my screen is completely messed up. So let's give this thing a reboot. Let's see if we can get a better configuration of the system itself. Oh man, the first problem out of the box. Alright, so messing around with it, I realized that there's something wrong with the monitor in combination with the Odroid. So that is not a great start, but nevertheless, I got myself the LG4 HD version. And yeah, it seems to be working now after a couple of reboots. But what can we actually play? So I want to focus mainly on N64 as a more demanding system, just to see how far we can push it nowadays. We even have the option for Sega Saturn. Let's see if it's going to be booting up and how that will run. We'll start off with a couple of 8-bit, 16-bit games. But I think it's going to be a quite interesting test, because this is a system I've been looking for a very long time. And I must say that I wanted to have a complete like pack with a good power supply, and now managed to get one. But the question remains, because this thing is quite old, is this thing even like still worth picking up? Because the main problem with this thing is it's not cheap at all. Okay, so the first problem I'm already having, already said the second problem, is that I had an issue with the keyboard. So let's just try a new game. Let's play some homebrew games. I really love to play some Quake on this. But it isn't like it should be. You know. Yeah, okay. So I can walk. But I can't really play, but something is happening over here. Oh, never mind, you know, like whatever. So first off, let's try some arcade stuff like Mortal Kombat 2. So I know there's no killer instinct on this, so that is something you need to take consideration. But nowadays, this is not like super special anymore. Yeah, we did that back in the day, the Pandora's boxes, but we can play so many like systems that we have like the option to play some Mortal Kombat 2 arcade. It's not really demanding, but I just want to try some GBA. Always fun to test this game. I did some weird things seeing in the screen, but there is at least like no problem with the audio whatsoever. So next thing I wanted to try is some Dead or Alive 2 on Dreamcast, just to see how that actually runs. But the weird thing is I have so many problems with the freaking controller, like, so weird thing going on, it's freaking annoying. So far I can see that it does run pretty damn well, but somehow it just gives this freaking thing some automatic inputs. Another system I wanted to try out is some Thomas Wave, but it runs so far I can see flawlessly on this device. No problems with my controller now. And also with this system we don't have any problems with the controller. And the reason I'm just pointing it out, it's such a weird thing with the Dreamcast, but alright, so next up let's try some Sega 32X. We're going back into the 90s. A system you can find on many devices nowadays. I just wanted to for fun, just check it out. But so far good, so I mean so far so good. Round 2. So I've been messing around for like 15 minutes to get at least Sega Saturn to work. I got some games that were actually pretty good, what you can see over here, but that's the only thing that we can do at this point, because the controllers don't work at all. I've been messing around with this special setting over here, with the mouse and cursor. You just mess it up over here maybe, but I just wanted to see if I can actually get it to work. Here you can choose like the keyboard disabled, everything has been set to the right configuration, but somehow it is absolutely impossible to get it to work, because when you're going to get into the game, it doesn't really recognize the controller somehow. And I've plugged into a couple of different ones, but it's absolutely like one freaking gigantic nightmare, if you ask me. Next up, let's try some PlayStation 1 with some Bloody Roar. One of those systems you can just play on every single box nowadays. Maybe you can even tweak it to get a little bit better performance or better like high resolutions, but this is nothing really fancy. Still, I just wanted to see how it runs. But so far so good, no problem whatsoever. Okay, so next up, let's try some PlayStation Portable on the system just to see how it runs.
Ryan Fury. Get ready for the next
Because I'm really curious how PlayStation Portable will run on this.
Come on. Round one. Fight.
So far so good.
Round two. Fight.
But I needed to take a close look in the back end. What you can see over here that we do have only the option for OpenGL. Another thing is like they messed around with the frame skip, set to even freaking 2. So yeah, so let's put this back to off just for fun, just to see what happens, because now I want to know.
You win.
Oh boy, this isn't good. So basically what I've done, I did completely shut down the frame skip. I just wanted to see how it runs. But you can see it's absolutely freaking unplayable. So the next thing we're going to do is set it to frame skip 1 just to see if this is going to be playable. Continue. Alright. But it's still not the right speed now. So unfortunate when it comes to PlayStation Portable. I must say that I'm quite disappointed because it doesn't run like I hoped it was. That we could play with normal speed. Some games will be playable, think about two-dimensional games, some Tekken, stuff like that. But again, it's quite some choppy emulation on the XU4. And nowadays we do have like chips that are like cheaper and that have the option at least to make it decent to play. I wanted to try some God of War, but I'm even not going to bother doing that because that's going to be unplayable. But messing around with some speed ups to make it basically uglier, you can see we're even going to get some better results over here. We're even going to get up to the 40 sometimes. So with PlayStation Portable we need to do a lot of tweaking to get the games to work. A little bit of a bummer. Something I just want to point out, I find it not really pleasant, is that when I wanted to play some games on this bloody thing, if you're going to plug in the USB port, you should like expect when configuring everything works perfectly. A lot of systems, including Dreamcast, that even like that automatically input, Quake wasn't like running RL, like so many freaking issues. And the other thing is like I need to plug in my controller in and out every single time I need to go in the game, otherwise it didn't even recognize the controller. So there is something really wrong with the software itself, so maybe with some tinkering we can fix it. But that kind of weird thing is like with my Xbox 360 inputs, both of the controllers had the issue. With this fake G1 we didn't have the same issue, so it's going to be a hit or miss. If they fix it, I don't know, but I just wanted to point it out and it's quite annoying. The conclusion is that the XU4, if you can pick it up for cheap, I highly doubt that you can find it cheap, but it's pretty damn cool piece of technology. But when you're going to get into the game jungle, the gamebox stuff, emulation, it's a little bit outdated in my opinion now, because this thing does have a lot to offer. But when you're looking into the PlayStation Portable, where it's basically like the most interesting and the most demanding, we do need to tinker a lot. And we do have like a lot of systems nowadays that plays it pretty damn good. For example with Botacera and Mini PC. Yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think of this. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, and it would be great to see you in the next video.